My friends, hello. I've had the opportunity to work with thousands of people, and I can tell you that everyone is afraid of something. And there's usually things that we're similarly afraid of, but most of the time those are all emotion-based fears, and in many cases they're entirely illogical. Like, for example, most people are afraid of sharks, or they're afraid of swimming in open water because they're afraid of sharks. And the reason why most people are afraid of sharks really stems to the movie Jaws and a cultural fear that we have of something swimming up underneath us and grabbing us while we're in the water enjoying ourselves. I took the opportunity to become scuba certified and go on a shark dive because I know people are afraid of this, and I wanted to be able to use myself as a real world example and say, like, look, this is going to be okay. So I went into the middle of the ocean in Mexico and dove down into this, what they called a shark arena. It was just a bunch of rocks. So we're underwater 50 feet and we're all clamped onto a rock in the bottom of the ocean. And this diver comes and he drops down and he's got food, and these sharks are swimming around him because they smell the food. And we're all underwater and just watching this tornado of sharks. The guy who had the food, he was covered in chainmail. He was no more than 10 feet from me. And there were so many sharks swimming around him, I couldn't see him. They told us before we went in that this was the most dangerous dive that any of us would ever do, and they gave us all these precautions, and primarily they said don't touch the sharks. I'm underwater, and you can already guess where this is going to go. I was underwater, and there's all these 9-foot and 6-foot sharks that are just swimming all over the place. There had to have been at least 40 of them, and all of a sudden a shark swam into my head. And I thought to myself, well, you touched me first. So I pet the shark as it swam by, and I pet 7 other sharks too. And then afterwards, we had the opportunity to dig in the sand and see if we could find any teeth that had fallen out while they were eating. And so on the bracelet that I wear is a shark's tooth that I got while I was scuba diving. And I tell you this story because this is one of people's biggest fears, is sharks. And they even told us, like, this is super dangerous because you're in their habitat while they're eating, like, be careful. The moral of the story that I want to share with you is I'm still here with all 9 fingers. Just kidding. I'm still here to tell the story about it. And what's fantastic is I have that experience to share, and I was able to really do something magical and special that few people get to do, because I decided to look at my fear logically. Did you know that you as an individual are more likely to die by a dog than you are by a shark? And there are psychopaths that have dogs that sleep in bed with them. They're nuts. They're more likely to get attacked by a dog or a deer or a cow than a shark, yet we have this irrational fear of sharks. So when we're afraid of something, let's think about it logically. Maybe not in the moment because it's hard when we're overcome by emotion and adrenaline, but think about, what are the things that I'm afraid of? Why am I afraid of those things? What took place? What inspired it? Was it some silly, stupid thing that somebody said one time and I just allowed it to become part of my psyche and allow it to become part of my human profile that I'm afraid of X? Think logically and intentionally, why am I afraid of this thing? And then think about, what are the odds of that actually even happening in the first place? Because more often than not, the thing that we're afraid of is never going to happen. When we do this, what it does is it gives us the opportunity to really live a life free of fear, and to look at things with a cautious, logical, intentional approach so that we can do the things that we need and want without being held back by arbitrary, fake beliefs.